brethren, the evidence is supernatural, dude. The evidence that this is the actual shroud of our Lord and the images of our Lord is so overwhelming. You really are hardened and blind to deny it. So go watch it. And now another video dropped with Father Richard Spitzer. I didn't watch it. I saw it, where he says the shroud is authentic. It just came out. I'll get you the link. But here's the clip I want to play from the 13-minute, 40-second mark. Go watch it. You'll be blown away. Like, dude, come on, man. The gig is up. This is a miraculous artifact preserved. And then he describes that the radiation blast that would have left that image, that ultralight, he goes, that was caused by radiation. And he says something mind-blowing in this video. Gary Habermas says you can actually see the teeth of the individual. Now, why is that important? Because he says the reason why the teeth of the individual means his mouth started opening up. Now, what would cause his mouth to open? But that blast of glorious light that would have animated the body of our Lord. In other words, if you've ever seen, so imagine, and as he's coming to life, his mouth is opening. He goes, you can actually now see the teeth from the individual's mouth opening. Now, why? Even though rigor mortis had set in, because when our Lord Jesus entered his body and animated it, that glorious blast of his divine light, his mouth opened and left an imprint of his mouth opening where you see the teeth. Yeah, it's in the video. I'm not lying. But here's another thing you may not be aware of, and I mentioned it previously. Yep, Father, is it Robert or Richard Spitzer? Are you sure it's Robert Spitzer? See, I'm telling you, I suck with names. God, correct me on the spot, destroy my error. It's Richard Spitzer, dude. Man, you sinner. Anyway, you see on the photograph holes. Look what he says in 1340. Right here. Let me see here. Watch here. Get ready. Get ready right here. Look.
There's some issues there. How come we don't have any? Why don't we have any body images on the other hundreds of burial cloths that we have? Why only this one? Okay, another one. He's got something pressed down on his scalp.
Did you hear that?
That's made wounds all the way through his scalp. Why do you put something like thorns?
Did you hear it?
I won't even say crown. That's a little bit prejudiced. I can just see the thorn holes.
See?
Why would you put that on a criminal?
Did you hear it? The image shows that the man has holes in his skull. Well, if this is Jesus, then the crown of thorns would have pierced open his head. Did you hear it? It's right there. Watch.
I mean, just a few years after his death, thousands of Jews are crucified in Jerusalem. What about somebody else? Well, there's some issues there. How come we don't have any? Why don't we have any body images on the other hundreds of burial cloths that we have? Why only this one? Okay, another one. He's got something pressed down on his scalp that's made wounds all the way through his scalp. Why do you put something like thorns? I won't even say crown. That's a little bit prejudiced. I can just see the thorn holes. Why would you put that on the criminal? Oh, because they thought he was claiming to be the Messiah. Now you're cheating. If they crucified him in Jerusalem, there's nobody there who thinks he's the Messiah that they're putting up there, putting a crown of thorns on. So why this guy? Why does he have things that were done to Jesus were not normal crucifixion procedure? Yeah. You might, for example, argue, by the way, Josephus argues that even people capital punishment were given individual burials because the Jews valued the body. But you might argue that they would throw crucified bodies in the trash heap.
Yeah,
in the burning, smoldering trash heap in Jerusalem. Why was Jesus buried individually in a beautiful cloth in a rich man's tomb? Well, how do you know it was a rich man's tomb? Well, there's not dirt all over the thing. Yeah. He was in an atmosphere where he's buried in a tomb. That's what you have when the cloth is in such good shape. He wasn't thrown on the ground and decomposed. I mean, the cloth decomposed.
Hear it? The cloth is in such good shape. That means this is not the burial cloth of some criminal thrown in a pit, because then there would be dirt and debris. It would decay. Debris. Now, this cloth is in fine condition, which makes sense if this is the burial cloth of our Lord, and he was put in a tomb. Anyway, this is just some of the evidence, overwhelming. But no, it's not. It's just a hoax. Yeah, so you have on the head of this individual holes, wounds made by something, which perfectly coincides with the crown of thorns that Jesus had placed on his head, but no. And then other things he shows you, rigor mortis sets in, and the position of the body shows that rigor mortis set in because his knee is bent and his body is curved when the body stiffens, right? And look at the imagery. They only saw this when they photographed it and the man saw the negatives of it, because when you see it, just the cloth, it's very dim. But when a man took a photograph and looked at the negatives, this is what showed. It only shows as a negative. Negative. The back side, because the way it's folded, it covered his back, and front. And you see in the back here, you see these holes? That is perfectly compatible with someone who's been whipped in the back. Right here, whipped. And they also saw a mark on his side, like it's been pierced open. All of this on this man. But nah, come on, man. No way. Nah, man. This is a hoax. Here's another living miraculous artifact preserved by our Lord. Only the most hardened, demonized skeptics will deny it. Look, you see these? They'll tell you, yes, these are marks on the body, on the back, which perfectly comports with Jesus being whipped. You see it? Right here. Right here even. See? You see it? And even here, this, from what I remember, that shows a hole, because this is why you see it's lit, because it's like the blood from the hole that, and he says it's consistent with blood and water. That's what he says in an interview. But no, it's not. It's not Jesus's. No, it's not. Now let me get you the link to Robert Spitzer. The Shroud of Turin is real. All the evidence with Father Robert J. Spitzer 2 days ago. He's going to give you the massive evidence showing it is real. Eat your heart out, atheists. Sucks being you. Sucks being you. So here it is. Here's the link. There it goes. I'm going to watch it myself, Lord willing. But I just want to share it with you. Another living, miraculous artifact that Jesus is alive. He's risen. God is real, folks. Death is not the end of us, folks. The Lord lives. He's alive. It's over, folks. See, the light of the light of the resurrection, the miraculous Shroud of Turin. He talks about that light was made by a radiation blast. In fact, full armor, he told you that in the interview you did with him, right? That kind of imaging would have been made by a radiation blast, a blast of radiation, a light. That is the creative energy, that energizing light that comes from Christ who gives life to the world. That's John 1:4. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. Right? So there you go. So go there and watch it. You got it. I think there was someone else I want to. Yep, that is correct. See? In an interview, he tells him that. You can type in what he said, and I'll put it on the screen. Yep, exactly. That's not, dude, it's a miracle, man. I mean, give it up. Give it up. It's real. Islam, the massive historical, archaeological, textual, scientific, medical facts show God is real. The God of the Bible is real. The God revealed in Jesus is real. And now the shroud shows you Jesus died, rose again. He's alive. He's God in the flesh. It's over. Bye-bye, Islam. You're a joke. Bye-bye, Unitarianism. It's over. Jesus is Lord. He lives. Our faith is true. And yeah, even in that interview with Gary Habermas, and David would tell you, we do not have the technology to replicate it. Even with today's technology, we can't replicate that image. It's there. They can't. We can't do it. We're not at that level with our technology to replicate that kind of image. But no, it was a great, it's a forgery.